So currently there is a shift in the gaming mouse market where we have this revolution of the honeycomb shell, these ultra lightweight gaming mice that are really challenging the upper end and what used to be called enthusiast gaming mice for $100 or so. Companies like Final Mouse, for example, were charging an exclusive amount for this design because they kind of coined it and made it popular. But then we had Glorious with the Model O, and now we have another company, G-Wolves, coming in with the Skoll, the first sort of ultra lightweight ergonomic mouse. And that name, G-Wolves, shouldn't ring any bells because, well, they don't really have any popular gaming mice that are out here in the Western market at least. But I've got to say that the Skoll is going to be one to remember for sure. Okay, so the big thing here is that we're getting a high quality, lightweight mouse with an ergonomic shape. By ergonomic, I strictly mean that this mouse isn't ambidextrous like the Model O or G305 from Logitech, for example, which are both symmetrical on both sides. The G-Wolf Skoll shape is optimized for right-handed users. So after getting in about 10 to 15 hours of playtime with this mouse, I feel like the best way that I can describe it is if you currently own an ergonomic shape mouse like the G703 or perhaps an EC1 from Zowie, I would consider the G-Wolf Skoll to be an absolutely worthy upgrade. And for a closer look at the shape, here's a quick size comparison to some other popular mice at the moment. So shape really is that #1 factor when it comes to whether you'll feel comfortable with a gaming mouse or not, that and your hand size of course. So do note that the G-Wolf Skoll is mostly going to be suited to those with medium to large hands. From a side view, we can see that the Skoll isn't really going to be ideal for those that grip their mouse with a claw grip, given that the hump is positioned around the middle towards the front even, and it's also pretty tall. After using small ambidextrous mice for so long like the G305 and G Pro Wireless, this thing just molded to my hand so well. As you can tell, my G703 is pretty worn as I have used that for quite a long time, and like I said, if you are currently using an ergonomic mouse like the G703, I would consider the Skoll to definitely be an upgrade for your aim. The main reason for that is the weight. Whereas the G703 and other large ergonomic gaming mice will come in over 100 grams in weight, the G-Wolf Skoll weighs just 66 grams. This makes it about as light as the extremely popular Model O from Glorious, a mouse which received my overwhelming recommendation. And honestly, it's the same story here. The G-Wolf Skoll is an ultra lightweight, super comfortable and well-spec'd mouse that has a lot going for it for an affordable price of just $60. Now I feel like a lot of people will look at a mouse like this with the honeycomb cutouts and think that it's just a no-name brand getting onto that lightweight trend, and I totally get that, but the quality and the specs here really will surprise you. To start with, we are working with the PMW 3360 sensor, top of the line, don't really need to say more than that. You're not going to have any issues with spinouts or missed tracking. Shell is actually pretty strong, and I did try to flex it and crack it by squeezing it, but that just didn't happen. There aren't any cutouts on the left or right mouse clicks, so you're not going to be bothered by that. And honestly, you do get used to the cutouts on the side of the mouse where you do grip it. I didn't find grip to be an issue there at all. Also, the black model that I've got here does have a nice gradient, so it's not just a flat black all around. It does have a nice fade to grey towards the front, which I think is a nice touch. It also does come in a white variant if you prefer that. The pads on the bottom surprised me a lot. Coming from aftermarket pads on my G Pro Wireless, these are the core pads. The pads on the G-Wolf Skoll glide very nicely despite not being anything flashy. The cable can be the ultimate deal breaker when it comes to a wired gaming mouse, but this one has been executed very, very well. It's a light paracord material, and using this mouse with a bungee with a low sensitivity almost feels as good as wireless. I actually prefer this cord over the Glorious Model O cord, which is a bit thicker and a little bit heavier, so I did find some cable whip and kinking in some situations with that cord. After using the Logitech G Pro Wireless as my main, the cable here is seriously legit. Just grab a bungee, I'll leave a link to the one that I used down below. By the way, in the tin that the mouse comes in, which is super surprising given the price, you do also get a spare cord with an extra set of mouse feet. So I really do like to see this. It shows that the company really are trying to make a great product here, and that I can totally respect. Alright, now onto the mouse clicks, starting with the left and right mouse buttons, which overall felt nice and light. These are Omron switches that in summary felt lighter than the Model O, but not as light as the G Pro Wireless. The scroll wheel is also extremely solid, nice steps with a soft rubber coating. You also get two left side buttons. These felt nice and solid also. There's actually zero pre-travel on these side buttons, so they don't feel loose and mushy, and they definitely don't rattle around like other side buttons that I've used. The one thing that I do have a slight complaint about though was the occasional pre-travel that I felt on the right mouse button when I clicked in certain areas or in certain ways, mostly towards the right and towards the end of the button. You can kind of click the button down before it actuates the switch, and this isn't an issue with the left mouse button. When holding the mouse correctly though and actually gaming, I didn't really find this to be an issue. Maybe it's just my sample, but it is just something I thought I'd mention. If you do grab the G-Wolf Skoll, definitely keep an eye out for this. DPI button is located at the bottom of the mouse and is customizable in their software. You've also got a button next to that to cycle through the several RGB lighting profiles. The lighting itself seems well balanced, just like the Model O. That's pretty much all I have to say about the lighting. So for an ergonomic gaming mouse for first-person shooters, I honestly don't think that you can beat the G-Wolf Skoll. I can definitely aim better with lighter mice, as most people do, and combine this with the shape that feels so comfortable and intuitive to grip, I feel like this mouse is just super underrated. At least on my sample, the quality feels as good as the glorious Model O for about the same price, so if you liked the Model O but want a larger ergonomic design, this one is definitely for you. So like I said, we are in the midst of a bit of a shift and revolution in the gaming mouse market, where these smaller guys like Glorious and G-Wolves are saying, hey, Farmer Mouse, you know what, that honeycomb shell is not exclusive, we can do it too, and we're not going to charge $100 plus for it. Not only that, but we also have really good execution for the buttons, for the scroll wheel, for the pads. You know, it's really surprising to see a no-name brand like G-Wolves actually come up and establish themselves with a really solid offering. Same thing with the glorious Model O. Like I said, if you like the Model O, this is basically that with, in my opinion, a slightly better cable and just an ergonomic design. So I will leave some links down below to where you can buy the G-Wolf Skoll. I believe it's shipping on the 30th of this month, so definitely check that out down below. $60 US for this mouse is really a steal. Insanely lightweight, great buttons, and really don't have anything to complain about apart from that slight pre-travel on the right mouse button. So as always guys, a huge thanks for watching. Consider subscribing down below if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one.